My name is Brandon Ray. I'm excited to be the first to officially welcome you to Community Connect 2020. Community Connect is, applause that, there we go. Community Connect is an event that we did a couple years ago. We had one in San Francisco in 2015 and one in San Francisco in one of our Post-on office in 2016. And we're really excited to be able to bring it back because what Community Connect always represented was the ability for all of us to get together from fandom and now Gamepedia communities to have in-person conversations, to get to know each other. One thing that we always found was, you know, the ability to have a conversation on the internet is limited by text. You're not seeing people's face. You're not necessarily seeing the person behind the screen, and this gives us the opportunity to actually do that and get to know one another as real people. So we were very, very excited to bring it back, especially this year. It's no coincidence that we're having this event about a year after the acquisition and the merger of Fandom and Gamepedia, and we're excited to be able to talk to you over the next few days about our vision as a company and as a unified platform. That's the big thing that we're going to be stressing over the next couple days. We know that everybody has 1,000 different questions and everybody wants 1,000 answers. What we're really going to be doing here for the most part is laying out a vision that hopefully excites everybody about what a unified community can be like. We're going to have honest conversations, we're going to have frank conversations, and we're going to have very enthusiastic conversations where we look back at where Fandom and Gamepedia have been, what the last year has looked like, and what the next few years is going to look like now that we're going to be moving on to a unified platform. So for our first speaker to kick this off, who's going to start to lay out what that vision is going to be, I'm excited to welcome Perkins Miller. He's the CEO of Fandom. He joined us about a year ago, and he's going to lay this out for you. Perkins?
Cool. All right. Woo! All right, everybody. Okay, so I'm gonna leave the script behind. I'm gonna try to scooch up on the bar here so that I can see everybody. Hopefully, you guys can see me. I've got a presentation up here on the screen, so if you can't see it and you want to see it, you know, maybe you want to scooch in a little bit and you'll be able to see some slides. There's nothing dramatic, but if you want to see them, I'll do my best job to talk to them so everybody can see what's there. First of all, I wanted to start, and thank you, Brandon, and the team for pulling this together. It's been an amazing effort. Really appreciate everybody's hard work to get this done. I am a pretty serious nerd when it comes to sci-fi and fantasy. From Tolkien to Butcher, I read fantasy. I have been way deep into various nerddoms around gaming and the sci-fi and fantasy worlds for a long time. My true focus on Star Trek happened to start, though, about 30 years ago. And I was living in San Francisco, and I was living in this little 2-bedroom apartment that you had to walk up 3 flights of stairs to get to. And my wife and I at the time, I got married when I was very young, we had no money. And my aunt lent me a black and white television. It was a black and white television that was probably about as big as an iPad and had no rabbit ears. We had the coat hanger sticking out of the top of it. And the only channel we got was running reruns of the original series of Star Trek. So all we did every night for fun is watch James T. Kirk and Spock in, as my eldest will say, the love of their lives together in Star Trek. And we watch it over and over again because it was the only thing we got. So literally every single piece of it, and then I got into TNG, and I've been a very serious nerd ever since. So if you ever want to talk about the original series, I'm with you. And it's been kind of a core part of what I do. And in fact, this is me at an all-hands meeting. I actually had a James Kirk tunic sewn for me to my measurements by a woman in London for about $350. It took like 2 months. But I did it, and I'm so proud of it that I wore it at the all-hands. And I wear it basically, I'll wear costumes anytime anybody will let me. So I am not afraid to embarrass myself on behalf of Fandom all the time. So I just want to let you know, I feel as a part of Fandom now, part of a family, because everybody here kind of knows what I've been thinking and doing and working on over the last 30 years of my career, which has been doing a bunch of different things. So it's not been as aligned with my passions, but it's been doing things that I've found a lot of joy in. I've worked for the NFL as a chief digital officer for the NFL. I've worked on 4 Olympics. I ran sports and technology for NBC for almost 6 years. I've ran StubHub, which is a ticketing business, and I worked for the WWE. I worked for Vince McMahon at the WWE and launched the WWE Network for him while I was there, among other things. How many of you guys are familiar with the WWE in this room? Yeah, how many? Yeah, there's a lot of WWE fans. You know, and when I was thinking about talking to you guys tonight, I thought about, where I've learned the most about being in service to fans. Because that's sort of what I think about in this role here at Fandom. I am in service to you, and I take it very seriously, and one of the lessons I've had is from Vince. And one of the things you might not know, if you've watched a WWE match, right, you see the big stage and the wrestlers or the superstars come out and the baby faces face the heels, which is this battle of good and evil. What you may not know is that there are 10 writers sitting behind stage who have rewritten the script on behalf of Vince every day. And the 10 writers back in Stamford, Connecticut, who have to work on the speech that has gotten rewritten. But more importantly, and I told this story the other day, there's actually a stage behind the stage, and it's called Gorilla. And Vince sits there behind 5 television screens wearing a headset. And in that headset, it's those big bulky ones with a mouthpiece, keeps his hair perfect, of course. He's able to talk to an IFB, a small earpiece, in the refs on stage. And the reason he does that is because he's listening to literally every clap and every scream in that audience as people are just hanging on every single move of those wrestlers. And if he senses that somebody's not quite engaged, he'll change the script live on live television by talking to the referee and having them go to the superstar and change the script on the fly. Because he's so much in service to fans in that building that's his commitment. He does it almost every single show, every single week, and he's been doing that for 30 years. And that for me was the most amazing lesson of being in service to fans. Is that if this is the CEO of the WWE and he sits on the side of the stage for the sole purpose of listening to fans so he understands what they want, that for me is just the most amazing metaphor for what I can do in service to fandom. That I want to be in service to you guys just as Vince is in service to those fans. Because if you guys don't find the power of our platform as a utility and don't feel like we are working for you, then I haven't done my job. So I just wanted to share with you that story of how I think about fans and fandom and why I'm so privileged to be here. Okay? All right, let's keep going. Thank you. So Jimmy Wales, this is the fun Jimmy Wales photo as the master of the Matrix, right? So, Jimmy started this about 20 years ago almost, and he called it Wiki Cities, as you guys probably know who've been working on this a long time. When this was starting to evolve, the idea was there would be these virtual cities. There were going to be essentially wiki cities around the world that people would live in this virtual environment, and that lasted a long time in terms of as a relevant platform. And what it then became is it started to evolve into people's fan domains, and I think there was then a fair amount of, and by the way, don't want to dismiss Angela, by the way. Angela Starling was also right with Jimmy at the time in starting off what was known then as Wiki Cities, which then became Wikia. But then it really started to merge into this notion of a fandom destination. And there was even some, I think, some phrases that were used. If you're familiar with the old world of fandom, there was this social universe of fandom. And then the business started to continue to grow, and about that time, though, there was a bit of a misstep, to be honest, in my point of view. The business decided it needed to be an actual business and needed to say, okay, we're going to make a bunch of money because there's so many people coming to this platform. And there was this big shift. A video player was forced on pages with autoplay advertising. Anybody remember that? Anybody really like that a lot? Yeah, not so much, right? Like, not a great idea. And the notion that we were going to somehow take the power of the community and pivot it into becoming some sort of modern, I don't know, BuzzFeed. And that wasn't really relevant. That's not what's in service to fans. Like, I'm a nerd. I don't really want to, yeah, sure, I'll see those sort of funny articles about cats, but I don't really, that's not my nerddom. I want to learn and study sci-fi. That's my gig. So the business then kind of took a bit of a turn into the darkness. Meanwhile, Gamepedia started up. The folks in Alabama said, wait a minute, we can serve game fans who are not being served by fandom. And they started to get a rip. So the Gamepedia business started to rise. Fandom, I think, was struggling a little bit to find its way. And about a year and a half ago, an investor group came together and said, hey, we think we can redirect this. We think there's a way to put this back together. They saw the puzzle pieces. This is the private equity firm TPG. And they said, look, we're going to get fandom, and we're going to, we don't think this thing should be some sort of fan buzz business. We think this should be a destination for fan identity. And so they bought the company away from that investment group. They went then and bought the business of Curse from Amazon, which had Gamepedia and this fantastic Dungeons & Dragons Beyond business. And then they bought a company in Los Angeles called Screen Junkies, which was an idea of taking an expression of fandom in the form of honest trailers, which is hysterical if you've ever watched it. So the idea was, hey, if we can bring these businesses back together, if we can get focused to these businesses, we might have a chance of really building something great. And so they called me up, and I said yes before the phone call was even halfway over. I was like, this is all me all the time. I can't wait to do this. And I jumped in with 2 feet. So that's it. And I think I just want to reemphasize that, yes, private equity can give people a little bit of concern about mission and purpose, but the reality is my experience so far as being a nerd and a fan guy and an operator has been these guys get it, and they actually went and made some moves that I think are going to be smart in the long run. So let me go through a little bit more detail about where we are and where we're going. So I said, hey, fandom and Gamepedia are coming together, and trust me, I read all the Reddit threads when this transaction went down. So all of you guys that were in there, I heard you. It was like it was a dark moment. Everybody was predicting the end of the universe. And I don't think that's true. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I think we've got a path forward that I think is going to be really powerful. So, first of all, we have fans. You guys are fans. I'm a fan. We have 200 million people that come to these platforms to celebrate their fandom. So, we have a community of passionate people. Whether you came to Gamepedia, whether you came to fandom, whether you're old, Wikia, we're all in this to serve fans because it's cool. It is, one phrase I really like is, it's just more fun to believe. Why not? There's a lot of things we can do with our time, but it's more fun to believe. So fandom and Gamepedia help you do that, and they're a service to you. The Dungeons & Dragons Beyond business is also in service to fans. And what I want to emphasize here is, by the way, how many people are D&D players in the room? Yeah, right on. So what Dungeons & Dragons has done is really just take the magnifying glass on a fan community and focus it. And they said, how can I make these fans' lives better? And they came up with tools, and they built applications, and they brought massive focus. And it's done an exceptionally good job. And that for me is a model for where fandom is going. Doing exceptional work on behalf of fans and keeping that laser focus. So I wanted to make sure you understood that this does fit into the plan that is fandom. The team has also been really focused around bringing IP to life, because if any of you are in the world today, we're all bombarded with releases and bombarded with new media. And so the ability for us to bring that new media to life and clarify and use the platform and help our community bring it to life is important. God help me, I've been trying to watch The Witcher, and without without having fanned the wiki for Witcher, I wouldn't know what the hell is going on. So, it provides a real service, and I think the idea is that we're going to continue to be in service to that mission over the course of the next decade or more. The other thing I want to show you is that there has been some improvement in editor engagement, but not enough. So the tools that you use to create content are archaic. All right? I get it. And we had meetings all this week to work on improving that. And trust me, our CTO Otto, our CPO as well, he and I are aligned in this commitment, which is we are in service to you to make it better. We're not going to come out with some re-platform that satisfies whatever mental gymnastics we thought were cool if it doesn't make your life better. We want to be able to build a scalable platform that's going to operate better, and you're going to hear more about it over the course of the next day. And this slide, which shows you editor engagement, is going to go up because it's going to be easier to use. The next thing I want to call out is innovation. We have to continue to improve. The business at our fingertips right now is fantastic because so many people love coming to fandom, to all these wikis. But we can't stop there. We have to be committed to growth and new. And this is some examples of things that we've done. So one of the things is the work that the Screen Junkies team around power levels. Have you ever seen some of the Screen Junkies content? It's fantastic. It goes in depth and celebrates fandom at its ultimate nerddom. And then, so that's been an area where we've been able to be more in the public eye. We've been in the 7 million subscriber universe on YouTube saying, hey, you know what, our communities can do a great job celebrating, let's reflect that. And the other side of the lens is taking the page of the Dungeons and Dragons Beyond business and turning it. And as we've turned that page, the team in Huntsville acquired an asset called Cortex, which is a role-playing game engine. And I won't get too far into that, but imagine the density and focus that we've brought to Dungeons and Dragons applied to other properties. And the same commitment and the same service is going to reflect more excitement for more fans and more things that they love to do, whether it be a movie IP or a gaming IP. So that's something we're invested in. You'll hear more about that later. This slide, for me, I keep focusing on engagement. I keep telling you about commitment to fan, and this is a mirror of that. So this is the world right now of places you may see, right? For those of you who can't see this slide, it's talking about Pinterest and Quora and Reddit and the amount of traffic the platforms have. And we're right in the mix. The platforms that you guys contribute to are as large as any of these. The challenge is engagement. As people come here, is it easy to find? How many people think the search on fandom today really works great? Right? I mean, not even close. How many people think the native application's fantastic and really useful? Okay, so room for improvement. So the idea here is we have to be able to move this needle up because fans demand it, and we have to be in service to them. And so I'm not pointing a finger at the past to say people didn't do a good job. People have done a great job, but we have to improve because fans today expect it. And I can point to a couple areas where it's obvious to all of us where we need to improve, and we're focused on making those changes and making that difference. So this is a phrase, I'll give credit to Donovan Duncan and Jack, if they're here. I've seen it in prior lives, but have you heard the phrase of, we're missionaries, not mercenaries? You guys ever heard that phrase? So the idea here, this represents commitment. Mercenaries go in, they get a job done, they go out, they don't care who they do the job for, it's just a job. Missionaries have purpose. They go in there with a cause in mind. And that's the way I see our work in service to fans and in service to you guys. We're on a mission. We are missionaries in service to fans and in service to you as a community and making it better. And this event tonight is just one small step in making that happen. And I wanted to let you guys know that that's how we see our commitment and the service that we're going to provide to you over the years to come. So that was my presentation for you today. And I want to say thank you and I hope the next day is productive. And if it's not, my email address is perkins@fandom.com. That's perkins@fandom.com. Send me an email. Said, this is what doesn't work, this is what works. More of this, less of that. I am very open to the feedback. And I please invite you to give me it. Because it's the only way I'll get better at what I do. So with that, thank you very much. Have a great dinner tonight. Have a great next day as our